There was a time when monsters weren't just legends. People feared them, hunted them, built their lives around avoiding them. They swore they walked among us. Entire villages performed strange rituals to ward them off. Ancient maps marked the waters where they were said to dwell. Some names were never spoken aloud, for fear of what might answer. And some creatures, they weren't just the stuff of campfire tales. Scholars wrote about them, explorers searched for them, and entire books documented their existence as fact. Like a rabbit with a unicorn horn that could kill a camel with a single stab, or a lamb that grew from a plant, feeding on the land like fruit until it was ripe for the slaughter. From sea monsters to cat dragons and fairy parasites, these are 10 bizarre folklore creatures that people swore were real. For centuries, European scholars and explorers believed in the existence of a truly bizarre creature, a living lamb that grew from a plant. Known as the vegetable lamb of Tartary, it was said to be rooted to the earth by a flexible stalk, allowing it to graze on the surrounding grass. According to medieval bestiaries, once the lamb had eaten everything within reach, it would wither and die, unless, of course, it was killed first by wolves or hunters. Some even claimed its flesh tasted like fish, further adding to the mystery. The myth was so widely accepted that explorers actively searched for it, convinced that it would revolutionize the wool trade by producing fleece without the need to rear sheep. In reality, the legend may have been inspired by misinterpreted accounts of cotton plants, but while some legendary creatures blurred the line between plant and animal, others were far more sinister. The Orkney Islanders of Scotland feared one creature above all others. Its name was never spoken without a prayer to follow, for to invoke it was to invite its wrath. The Nuckelavee was no ordinary monster. It was a skinless, horse-like demon, its raw red flesh glistening, its black veins pulsing with poison. A deformed human torso clung to its back, its unnaturally long arms stretching hungrily toward its victims. Farmers and fishermen genuinely feared its presence. They believed its foul breath could wither crops, sicken livestock, and spread plague. When disease swept through the islands, offerings were left by the shore to appease the Nuckelavee. But if you saw it, there was only one way to survive. You had to cross fresh water. Its origins remain shrouded in mystery. Orkney's legends were shaped by both Scandinavian and Celtic influences, leading some to believe the Nuckelavee was a twisted fusion of the mythical Celtic waterhorse and Norse folklore. But whatever its true origin, the islanders never questioned one thing. Something lurked beneath the waves, waiting. But not all monsters lurked in the sea. Deep in the Richtersveld of South Africa, hidden within a vast network of caves, lies a legend older than time itself, the Grootslang, a creature so ancient and powerful that even the gods feared it. It was said that when the world was young, the gods made a mistake. They created something too strong, too cunning, a hybrid of elephant and serpent, stretching over 50 feet long, its coils wrapped around a hoard of diamonds and gold. Realizing their error, they tried to destroy it, splitting it into 2 creatures, elephants and pythons, but one survived. It slithered into the darkness of the caves where it waits, guarding its treasure for eternity. Some say the legend was born from sightings of giant pythons, but those who dared to enter the caves told a different story. Treasure hunters have tried to claim the riches of the Grootslang. Many never returned. One of the most infamous was Peter Grayson, a British diamond hunter who vanished without a trace in 1917. Even today, strange echoes drift from the caves, shadows shift in the deep, and those who get too close often find themselves turning back, gripped by an unexplainable dread. From the depths of the caves to the stillness of the water, creatures of legend had one thing in common: their hunger for those who strayed too close. For centuries, Japanese villagers feared the Kappa, a reptilian water spirit said to drag the unwary into lakes and rivers. Parents warned their children to stay away from the water, believing a Kappa could reach up and pull them under, never to be seen again. Described as small humanoid creatures with green, scaly skin, webbed hands and a beaked mouth, The Kappa's strangest feature was its dish-like head, filled with water. This water was its life force. If spilled, the creature would weaken or die. Kappa were blamed for drownings, but their hunger was said to be far worse. Some legends claimed they drank blood, ate livers, or even stole the shirikodama, a mythical orb believed to contain a person's soul, hidden deep inside the anus. It doesn't get much stranger than that. Believing cucumbers were a Kappa's favourite food, villagers left offerings at riverbanks. Families even wrote names on cucumbers and set them afloat, hoping to appease the creature and protect loved ones. Even today, warning signs about Kappa dangers remain in parts of Japan, a lingering reminder of how deeply this fear once shaped people's lives. A rabbit with a spiraled unicorn horn may sound like something from a fairy tale, but in Middle Eastern folklore, the Almiraj was feared as a deadly, flesh-eating predator. Despite its small size, it was said to be strong enough to kill full-grown camels with a single stab. According to legend, the Almiraj roamed the deserts, its yellow fur blending into the sands, waiting to hypnotize prey with its gaze before fatally goring them with its horn. The people of the Middle East genuinely feared this creature, and stories spread of entire herds being slaughtered overnight by a single Almiraj. While some scholars speculate that the legend may have stemmed from horned rabbits suffering from disease or misidentified fossils, the belief in the Almiraj was real enough to be recorded in ancient bestiaries, a small, innocent-looking creature with the power to kill. But belief alone wasn't always enough. Some creatures inspired such fear that people took desperate measures to protect themselves. In rural Philippine villages, homes were lined with garlic, vinegar and thorny plants, protective charms against the dreaded Manananggal, a vampire-like creature feared for its insatiable hunger. By day, the Manananggal looked like an ordinary woman, but by night she tore herself in half, leaving her lower body behind as her upper half sprouted wings and took to the skies in search of prey. With a long, needle-like tongue, she pierced rooftops to drain the blood of unborn babies. The only way to kill her was to find her abandoned lower half and sprinkle it with salt, smear it with garlic, or set it ablaze. Vampiric creatures appear in myths across the world, and the Manananggal may have been born from ancient fears of childbirth, miscarriages, and unexplained night terrors. But unlike other monsters that hunted their victims, the Irish Alp-luachra was far more insidious. A type of fairy parasite, it was said to take the form of a newt and crawl into the mouths of sleeping people who had dozed near a stream. Once inside, it fed on the energy from its host's food, draining their strength and leaving them to waste away, no matter how much they ate. Those suffering from unexplained weight loss were often feared to be host to an Alp-luachra. To rid themselves of the creature, people were told to lie by a river and eat only salted meat, hoping the fairy would grow thirsty and jump out in search of water. A bizarre belief, but one that lingered in Irish folklore for generations. From rivers to mountaintops, legends of strange creatures emerged in every corner of the world. In Alpine folklore, the Tatzelwurm was a strange and fearsome creature, described as a lizard with the face of a cat and the long, slithering body of a serpent. Some claimed it had venomous fangs, poisonous breath, and a high-pitched, hissing cry that sent shockwaves through the mountains. There are numerous written accounts from the 16th to 18th centuries documenting alleged encounters. Reports of livestock found dead with strange bite marks only fueled the legend. In 1779, a local farmer claimed to have encountered 2 Tatzelwurms in the mountains. Overcome with terror, he fled home to warn his family, only to collapse and die from the shock moments after reaching safety. The mystery persisted into the 20th century. In 1934, a Swiss photographer claimed to have captured the Tatzelwurm on film, prompting an expedition to find the elusive creature. But despite their efforts, nothing was ever found. Was this a glimpse of an undiscovered species, or just another mountain myth? Medieval bestiaries are filled with strange creatures, but few are quite as undignified as the Bonnacon, a bull-like beast that defended itself in the most disgusting way possible. Described as having the body of a bull, the mane of a horse, and inward curving horns that made it useless in combat, the Bonnacon had to rely on a far more unorthodox defence mechanism. It was said to unleash a torrent of burning, toxic dung, scorching everything in its path for up to 3 acres. Anyone caught in the deluge would be blinded, burned, or forced to flee in horror. Scholars of the time took this quite seriously. The creature was recorded in medieval bestiaries and even the works of Pliny the Elder. While modern historians suspect the legend may have originated from exaggerated accounts of wild bison, or even a misunderstood creature like a yak, to those in the Middle Ages, the Bonnacon was very real, and proof that not all monsters needed fangs or claws to be truly terrifying. But not all legendary beasts were known for their ferocity. Some were simply strange. Deep in the forests of Bavaria, hunters and travellers once spoke of a bizarre hybrid creature lurking among the trees. It had the body of a rabbit, the antlers of a deer, the fangs of a predator, and sometimes even wings or duck feet. They called it the Wolpertinger, and many believed it was real. Unlike many monsters of folklore, the Wolpertinger wasn't feared. It was a curiosity, a strange wonder of the wild. Some claimed it could only be seen by the pure of heart, while others swore it was born from a cursed union of mismatched animals. In the 18th and 19th centuries, taxidermists in Bavaria capitalized on the legend, stitching together parts of real animals to create preserved specimens of the Wolpertinger. These displays were so convincing that many visitors left believing the creature truly existed. Even today, Bavarian souvenir shops still sell Wolpertinger taxidermy as a quirky folklore curiosity. We've explored 10 bizarre creatures that people once swore were real, but before we end, there's one more, one that doesn't quite belong on this list, because unlike the others, this one turned out to be real. For centuries, sailors whispered of an impossibly large creature lurking in the ocean depths, one so massive it could drag entire ships beneath the waves. They called it the Kraken. Described in Scandinavian folklore as a colossal, tentacled beast, some accounts claimed it was so large that its back could be mistaken for an island. It was said to rise from the deep, wrapping its mile-long tentacles around ships, crushing masts, and pulling unfortunate sailors into the abyss. For years, the Kraken was dismissed as pure myth, but then something unexpected happened. In 1873, fishermen off the coast of Newfoundland pulled up the tentacle of an unknown sea creature, thicker than a tree trunk. Then, in 2004, scientists captured the first ever footage of a living giant squid, proving that monstrous tentacled creatures really do exist in the depths of the ocean. Which begs the question, if this legendary sea monster was real, how many of the other bizarre creatures we've explored might still be out there, waiting to be discovered? But which of these creatures fascinated you the most? Let me know in the comments below. And if you think these legends were strange, wait until you hear the shocking true story behind Little Red Riding Hood. You might think you know the fairy tale, but its origins are far more sinister, because it wasn't just a story, it was based on real werewolf accounts. Click here to watch the video and uncover the dark truth, if you dare.